Here's a quick training video on dashboard diagrams. And today we're going to look at making a game level, taking game level data and putting it on a map that's kind of a mix of urban planning, build a city kind of scale with looking inside the buildings and some of the circulation patterns and details there. So to start off with, we're going to go into row 64 and we're going to load up our example data, and that's going to be called game level data here. And we can see we've got long lat, which is actually not longitude, latitude. It's just this position in the space of our game level, our X and Y coordinate basically. We've got the play time, the hour, some survey results, the enjoyment wins, you know, with a respawn star, all this sort of like gameplay kind of stuff, what items they picked up and so forth. Okay, so we're going to hook this up to a map here, to a basically a representation of the game level. So to start off, we'll make the dashboard. So we'll go dashboard new. Oh, and I'm going to rename this here to say game level, just to keep organized. Okay, and now we're going to split this in half. Okay, building up our dashboard. This divides up into, I guess, half here, and I'm going to keep that one piece at the bottom and put this into 3. Okay, and this one is like kind of a narrow one, so then I'm just going to say my percent is 10%. And then that's kind of neat because then we can kind of space this out and it keeps the center nicely spaced. And the records are, I'm going to go into preview mode and drag in my records. It's sort of a dense dashboard. We want the focus on the level itself. So I'm going to zoom it back, pull it back a little bit and zoom. Okay, now we want to pull in the geodata or the level representation. So to do that, we're going to go look at the example material that we have. And we have an Illustrator file here. I'm going to open Adobe Illustrator, and you can see, okay, we have these different layers in here. So this has been constructed with 5 different layers. So this one's the buildings. This one's sort of they sit on top of these sort of road outlines so that the roads sit within. Here's some of the landscaping we have. Here is some of the structure, and here is these like, I think these are just supposed to be darker. So this structure piece is the heavier pieces. So the colors are set by these layers in row 64. So we split some of this out for shading, some of this out just for keeping organized. We don't need to track GeoID. So the process we have here is we have this open source Illustrator GeoJSON file. You just run this Illustrator GeoJSON, just download it. That's on our GitHub. And you basically turn one layer on, you go File, Script, open Script, you find that JSX and it'll export it all. You go on, you do the roads one, you export that, and that will give you this list of layers. This is what it'll look like. They're not very big, actually. And that's it. Then we just bring those into row 64. So let's do that next. So first off, we'll build a Geo2D. And then we'll go grab each of these layers. So we'll start off with the buildings. Here we go. Okay, that's looking good. Bring in the landscape. And so these are these kind of like, I mean, we could even color this too. We didn't color it just to have it look a little less cheesy. But we can pull that in and make it a little less gray. Okay, there's our landscape, and here are our roads, which are we want quite a bit lighter. So we'll lighten that. It's kind of like an art tool in this way. Hold on. Here's a good way to get it lighter. To finally pick that. Okay, and we'll maybe make the buildings a little darker. So we'll grab the buildings and make that a little darker. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Next, we're going to bring in the structure for the buildings. Okay, here's those. And this is a little darker still. The order isn't so important here. And then the, I think these are the heavier parts, so we can almost make them black. And then the lighter parts are as the zone. Yeah, so these are the lighter parts of those levels. And so this gives you this sort of ability to layer in heavier and lighter elements in your diagram. But let's just say that's good enough. Okay, so we've got all these together, and now we want to bring in our coordinates. Now what's really important here is that we turn the projection space to none, because if we're not really working in longitude and latitude, and if it applies Mercator, it's going to distort everything. It's not going to work. So when we're working with diagrams, the projection has to be none. Okay, and so let's go wire up our coordinates. The longitude is going to be here in our game level data. The latitude is going to be here. And let's just go look where it is. That worked perfectly. Now, by default, when it loads it, it does this sort of bubble look here. So we can go look at our coordinate layers. See that there's like a ring, and you can adjust these sort of geobubble kind of things. Set the ring to 0, especially when you're working with dense data, and then it'll just be a sprite. And so then it loads super fast, and we can go look at all this. We'll give a little more of a radius and a little more of an alpha, and that kind of looks good. So we can, that'll be good enough for zooming in. You can also tune the radius on the dashboard itself, so that's probably good enough. So now we want to bring this into our dashboard. So let's go look at the dashboard here. When we drag it in, it's okay. It's a good start, but we want to get these different combat zones. We want to be able to zoom in on the different zones. So we'll use our camera as we usually do. And so we'll just stop. We'll call the first one map, which will just be kind of the main map thing. And in there, we want to hit the kind of main combat zones. So let's just see how that looks. That looks better. Although I want to kind of clip that up at the top. You see it's like kind of scrunching it a bit. So I'll hit camera views, and I will pull the bottom down a little bit. Let's see how that aligned it up. So that's a little better. I may squeeze it a little more on the sides. This is just what the person sees when they first load the dashboard, so it's worth just being a little bit fussy about that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And we want to highlight our other combat zones. So in this game, this is one in the middle. It's called Zone 1. And that's right here. Okay, that looks good. We want to add another one. This is Zone 2. Combat Zone 2. This thing is supposed to be, it's like it's fake data, but it's supposed to be a little bit like Pokemon Go, but walking through buildings and stuff. It was kind of a fun example data to make. Okay, so when we look at that, like if we just go publish our thing, game level 01, what we're going to see is that we can just flip now between these zones, right? And that's really nice for, of course they can flip around and zoom and use all the manual stuff, but it's nice to have this like quick access views there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to make these charts here. So we're going to make the hours played versus average enjoyment, this play time, and enjoyment versus wins. So average played versus average enjoyment. What we're going to do is we're going to take the hour and the enjoyment, level, and we're going to group sum them. And then we're going to make a chart. And then we just drag it in. Okay. Oh, I wanted it to be average, actually, so I summed it. So that was wrong, because it's average enjoyment. So we want group average. Okay, and then our chart should update to reflect that. And hours played, but I actually got, let's look at that. The enjoyment, oh, because this is the hour, and what I wanted was I took the playtime. So hold on, let me, I'm just gonna delete that. let's do that one again. So I'm going to take hour of play versus the enjoyment. And then we're going to group by hour, group average. Okay, and so what the way we're getting that wrong is that we're getting these 10 enjoyment hour levels by the average. But if we look at our input, we want to average it by the hour. Okay, now we've got the three levels together. Hold on, let me run it. Okay, and I'm going to create my chart. Okay, that's looking better. And if you look, that's what we have, right? That was our target. So come over here, drag that in, control click it. Maybe I'll just match the color of the map just for a sense of consistency. Okay, so click my dashboard, hit F4. Okay, so this one here is going to be enjoyment versus wins. Okay, so we're going to go and we're going to group average the enjoyment versus the wins. So this is the player wins, how many times they have a win compared to their enjoyment, group sum. And again, we're group summing on the enjoyment, not the wins, not the enjoyment. So then we pull it together by grouping on the right column. Okay, now we make our chart. Okay, that looks good. Settings, we can look at the horizontal average, and I can say star 0, enter. So I just got it to be the number, so I put a Excel format code in there just so I wouldn't see the dots on it. Okay, and let's drag that into the dashboard. Okay, that's looking good. Same thing. Let's change the color to, I guess I can click anywhere really. And click the dashboard, hit F4. Finally, we want to do this interactive slider. And so here the interactive slider is called playtime. Okay, and this is the slider over time. Actually, it's a widget, so I'll go select a slider. And the label is playtime. Okay, and we're going to connect it to this game level playtime. So this is going to move it over time. And the range is, if we look at the playtime, I'm just familiar with the data, it's between 0 and 3 hours. So if we go back to our dashboard, we can say it's the default value is going to be 3. The max is going to be 3. Take the padding down. And okay, so we've made our dashboard. So let's publish that again and take a look. You can see the cross filtering working nicely. Hit the F4 key for interactive slider, and we can see this beautiful effect of the playtime, the players coming into the game over time. I hope you've enjoyed this training video.